Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Hacking Self-Storage. It is Thursday morning, and I'm doing a week in numbers. What am I doing? The reason being is because I've been away with the kids this week, and my stinky old laptop, it's not good to recording podcasts when I'm away. So unfortunately, it had to wait until now to do the week in numbers, but we are back. And I was back yesterday, but obviously we had a podcast episode yesterday, and tomorrow we've got a podcast episode. So the perfect time was to fit it in between. So you've got 3 days of me, you lucky people, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So last week, how was my week in numbers? I'm going to be fairly quick on this podcast because my Jojo, my virtual assistant, she finishes very, very soon. And so I need to get it in quick so she can process it and get it live for you guys. I just want to say that I've been getting loads of people asking loads of questions recently again, and I absolutely love it. I've been helping some self-storage facilities who think they can do better. 2 of them this week. There's 2 people who are starting up self-storage this week, wanting advice. I love it. It is fantastic, and it's just nice to. It's nice to be wanted. I'm a needy folk. Right, okay, let's get cracking then. So amount of quotes last week, interesting, 42 quotes per week at the minute. That's what we got last week. Average quotes per day was 6. Reservations, this is outstanding, 19 reservations. So that is a conversion rate from quotes to reservations of 45%. Quotes to reservations. Absolutely bloody nuts. Well done, team. Number of forward move-ins was 12. So it's 63% of reservations did forward move-ins. We like to be above 75% there. So slap on the wrist there, team. 63%. I don't want to say it's okay, because you know what? If I say it's okay, then everyone will aim for 63%, and then it'll drop again. So we've got to start shooting for the stars. Keep shooting for the stars. 75% is the benchmark. Oh, by the way, I want to give a shout out to Wayne. All right, Wayne. Wayne is a truck driver who his awesome wife actually works for us. And for some reason, he's become my #1 fan. Well, not mine, Hacking Self-Storage #1 fan. And Wayne, Vanessa absolutely crushed it this week. So yeah, thank you, mate. thanks for listening to the podcast. I love it. Get all your trucker mates to listen to the podcast as well. Absolutely brilliant. Right, what else? 15 move-ins. So 15 move-ins, absolutely unbelievable. 36% conversion rate from quotes to move-ins. Beautiful. I honestly, and I'm not saying this just because Wayne's listening, I cannot speak highly enough of the team. Without the team, there is no figures like this. Absolutely brilliant. So take my hat off to them. Number of square foot moved in was 1,225. That is pretty good. Anything over 4 figures on a week is beautiful. Other move-ins were 4. So that means it was 1,350 square foot move in overall. Right, the van. How many times was the van rented out? The van was rented out 6 times. The Luton was rented out 0 because the Luton is off the road at the minute. We've had a little bit of a breakdown and an accident. So, yeah, Luton's off the road. Percentage quote breakdown. Where did our quotes come from? Google, 22. So that was 52% of our quotes came from Google. Word of mouth was 1. That was 2%. Passing by, 13. Yes. Love it. That is 31% of our quotes come from 31% of our quotes came from passing by. Bevel 24 was 5%, 2. Used before was 1, that was 2%. Social media was 2, that is 5%. Estate agents 0, blog 0, removals were 1, so that's 2%. Square foot moved in, as you know, 1,350. Square foot moved out is, here's a word from our sponsor, On the Knife Edge. Welcome back. Square foot moved out is 1,175 square foot. So we was up 175 square foot. If you remember last week, it wasn't supposed to be a positive square foot. We were supposed to lose about 500 square foot, but we didn't. We turned it around and we won. Our net gain was 175 square foot. Amount of rooms moved in was 19. Amount of rooms moved out was 15. Total internal rooms occupied is 354. No containers in, no containers out. So we've got 46 containers occupied. Car parking, we've got 5. So that means we're at current occupancy of 80.93%. So 81% there. I know many of you probably are asking about Clough Road. We don't actually have a lot of this data because the way we're doing it is slightly different. However, we are changing it. I will get to that on next Monday's podcast, or maybe even do a bonus episode on Tuesday, because the problem is we're displaying the prices at the minute online. So we don't know how many quotes, we don't know conversions. We'll only know the top of a funnel, like how many people hit the website. And yes, that's good to know. And how many people hit your website compared to how many people actually move in. What is the conversion rate? As you know, me and Gavin, we had a conversation about Stora. He was on the podcast because we're using Stora, and there's some things that he agrees with and some things that I disagree with in terms of showing prices, etc. I believe that I'm going to do a podcast episode about this because I really want to succinct I don't even know if that's a word, succinct. I really want to put down everything in a structured, organized format to say why I don't believe. And I've had conversations, by the way, with many, many people now on this. I don't believe showing price. I'm pretty confident now of this. I don't believe showing prices on your website is the way forward, unless your competition is zero, unless you are the cheapest around, unless you are a container site, again, the cheapest around. I don't believe that is the way forward. I could be wrong, and Gavin could be right. Gavin's got more data than me, but the data is different. With me, I'm against big individuals. Gavin don't like callbacks, any sales process. I love callbacks. I love sales process. I believe that your customers need to know you, like you, and trust you. If you are just an empty website with nobody at the end and no callbacks, no nothing, I believe 100% that you will have more of a conversion rate, building up rapport with the customers, them getting to know you from a subconscious behavior, from a subconscious point of view. The customer is more likely to choose you having talked to you because there's a connection there. Without that connection, it's a void. And I just can't believe at all, everything from psychological point of view down to subconscious behavior, I can't believe that has a better conversion rate. Gavin has got, like I said, much more data than me, and he argued his point very eloquently. I mean, I just can't argue with someone like that. He's so eloquent and I'm not. It was like when I was arguing at the Fidessa conference, when I was on stage arguing with Travis Morrow. Travis Morrow, the most elegant and suave guy you'll ever meet. And there's me just in a hoodie trying to argue with him. And I believe I put the point across pretty well, but you're always going to look never as good against someone who's suave. And yeah, Travis Morrow is definitely 100% one of the suavest people you're ever going to meet. And Gavin, with his data point, he's so eloquent and he can put his point across beautifully well. And so it is hard to argue with Gavin's data because Gavin's got much more data than me. But I do believe my data is different because we are in a competitive city. How many of those Stora data points that he's got is being collected from a very competitive city, from against the REITs, the big companies? How many of those? How are they performing against that? That's the big question. And so it's going to be interesting because Gavin said that in a couple of years, he's going to have the data to conclusively prove and without doubt that that's the way forward. And I do believe over time, the more time it goes on, the more the need to show you prices. But for me, not yet. We're a different product. Yes, I understand we're putting barriers in the way of customers, but we're doing that because we want the best result for the customers. I care about my customers that much that I'm putting myself out and my teams out and spending more money on people, on a team to talk to people, to actually educate. Because at the minute, all people are doing is comparing my price to somebody else's price. And guess what? My price is more expensive than everybody else's. And I need the chance to educate my customers and tell them why. It's okay putting it on your website. I get that point. You need to put it on your website. And if you put it on your website, then it does half a job. But actually physically telling people, because you're relying on people to actually read everything on your website. And we know from Hotjar that people go, as soon as you go below the fold, you are losing a percentage of people all the time. So there's only so much information that you can give somebody on the website before they click off it. And that is undeniable. That is fact because of what we've got, the data we've got from Hotjar. But don't scroll down as far as you'd like to believe. It's incredible. If you haven't used Hotjar before, Hotjar, then I would strongly recommend it. They have a free version, and you can see how customers interact with your website in live time as well, which is absolutely incredible and invaluable information there. And for me, I just don't believe that we can adequately portray our USPs across good enough on a website without actually talking to a customer. So we'll see, because next month we are going back to the old, try, tested with Stora. Because if I'm honest, I'm always honest with you guys, I think Stora, yes, we've got over 1,000 square foot moved in. We've only been open 7 weeks. What is it, 1,100 square foot moved in by the end of this week or something? I think that is shoddy. I really do. If you compare it to when Clough Road opened, Willoughby opened, at this point, we was over 3,000 square foot in. So it's like 66% less than what it was before. So in terms of Clough Road to Willoughby, and arguably Clough Road's in a better position. Yes, they've got more competition. They do have more competition. However, that competition is mainly container sites. And yes, there is Armadillo, maybe 2 miles down the road. But again, we're cheaper than Armadillo. And we're in a better location. We're cheaper than Armadillo on Clough Road to try and get people in. And we're better. Our website's better. Our SEO is better. Our pay-per-clicks advertisement is better. So you would expect us to be better than we was when we first opened at Stormore 5 or 6 years ago, because our website domain has increased, the score you get, the authority you get for the website. And so therefore it's more trusted by Google. So therefore it rewards you by being higher in the rankings. So all that is better. We've got a better team. We're better trained. I mean, it's just Angela there. As awesome as Angela is, like everybody knows, Angela's amazing. But as awesome as she is, she's only one person. We've got 4 people now there. So yeah, only time will tell. Only data will tell. But watch this space. I believe Clough Road will fly as soon as we stop putting prices on the website, and as soon as we do the callback structure and have a proper sales process in place. In an ideal world, it would be 100% correct where customers don't need a callback and you don't want to bug the customers. Ideal world, of course. But then that's not the case with holidays. People phone you back. People do follow-ups on insurance. People do follow-ups on anything in life, cars, sales, everything. People do follow-ups. There's email follow-ups now. There's everything. So people follow up all the time. And to say that in self-storage that we don't do follow-ups because it's the right thing for the customer, I don't believe it's true. I believe that we need that follow-up. The power is in the follow-up. We'll see who's right and who's wrong. And I don't think it is necessarily of who's right and who's wrong. I think it will go in areas. I think there will be an element of an area being right. So if you're in this sort of population, this sort of competition, you will be better displaying your prices online. If you're a one-man band with not a sales team behind you, we've got the sales team, we've got the structure, we've got the sales process. And it'll be crazy for us not to use it, especially when we're fighting against other people with a good sales process. And we're fighting at the minute with one hand tied behind our back. And our results, I believe, are showing that so far. So, and this podcast is all about getting the best results for you guys and for me as well. And there's no point in me saying my opinion is one thing without testing it. So I can't. So we've been open like 7 or 8 weeks now. By the time we do this test with showing the prices, we've shown the prices and then not showing the prices. For me, it's enough data. There's been a hell of a lot of traffic onto our website, and we can only compare how many quote. I mean, look at last week. Number of reservations was 19 for Stormore Willoughby. Number of reservations were 20% or 25% cheaper at Clough Road, and number of reservations were 1. All things being equal, apart from a different site, a different side of Hull. So that for me. And that's just not one off either. There was 23 reservations and at Stormore the week before and 0 at Clough Road. All things being equal, I can't believe there's that much difference. But we'll see. This is why I love self-storage, because the great thing is you can't break anything. You test it. If it doesn't work, you change back. You test it and you test again and you refine, you iterate and you improve. And this is why self-storage is amazing, because it gives you the opportunity without killing you to test certain things. In other industries, if you start testing things and it doesn't work, it sets you back. It can be problematic. when I had a restaurant, if I tested something and it didn't work, it could cost me fortunes. It could cost me customers and never returning. The betting shop, if we tested something and it didn't work, again, it could cost me thousands of pounds. Where here, if we test something and it doesn't work, we can change it. We can't break anything. I always say to the team, we can't break it. We can't break it. We can change stuff on the website. We can, and don't get me wrong, I do know that my website needs to improve as well. We've got some data, we've got some things going forward with a website as well, which is going to improve things a little bit. So I suppose the argument there is, well, it's not a like for like because you're improving all the time. Your SEO score's going up because you've done a 401 redirect, and you've changed domains. And so I do get all that. So it's slanted towards March always been a better month anyway. And also March is always a better month anyway, because of house moves, etc. In the summer, it gets more popular. So I do know it's not like for like, but I just, at the minute, I don't feel comfortable sitting here and only having 1,100 square foot moved in, and only one reservation last week when we had 19 at Clough Road, Willoughby, sorry, and 23 the week before, and 0 at Clough Road. So yes, that is why I am changing it. We'll see how it goes. I'll document it, and if I get it wrong, Gavin can have a written apology, and I will tell him that he was right and I was wrong. But he thinks this is the best way, and unfortunately, I can't. There's only a finite way of arguing because of the data. I haven't got the data he's got. And so I've been trying to talk to as many people as possible and consultants in the area to get their opinion, because obviously I only got 3 sites. And so the data I've got, the traffic I've got is very, very small compared to a consultant who sees everything, other self-storage owners who see a lot as well. And then obviously Gavin, he sees everything with his Stora software. So it's hard to compare, but ultimately we all want the best for you guys listening, and we want the best for ourselves. So whoever's right, the great thing is that we can test it. Gavin can test his, I can test mine. Dave Davies can test his with his people he advises for, and we can all test it and we can all get the best result. We're all working towards the same goal, getting the best conversions and getting the best processes for our customers and for our business. And I'm really, really excited by it because I think I'm a wartime CEO. And I heard this on the podcast. I said, I'm going to be quick on this bloody podcast. I heard on the podcast that this guy I listened to, My First Million, Sam Parr, he says that he likes things when things are going wrong because it drives him, it lights him up. It's a fire under his belly. And I'm a bit like that. When storage is just going well and it's predictively going in the correct direction, I'm like, oh yeah, this is good. But I tell you, with Clough Road, with it not going the direction that I expected, don't get me wrong, we're still ahead of projections, but we're only going to be ahead of projections for so long because we had no move outs. When we start getting the move outs at this rate, then we'll be below projections. So we're going to make a change now. But this has lit me up because I thought we'd have 3,000 square foot moved in already. At least I thought it'd absolutely fly, and it hasn't. But the great thing is that it's put a fire under my belly, and every day I'm excited to find out, well, all right, well, if we tweak this, what happens then? If we tweak this, what happens then? If we change this wording, if we change this button, excuse me, we've changed positions of buttons, we've added buttons in to get quotes and stuff, or to get booked now. We've done a lot, we've done so much, and it's exciting. And I love it. So I believe that I'm a wartime CEO, where that means basically when things aren't going right, that's where you excel and that's where you come into your own. And I've got a list of things what I can improve and test on, but I don't want to do them all at once because I don't know which one's worked, and therefore I can't document it and change it and tell you what's worked for your site, if your site ever done take off the way you want. So, and then also I need to know for my future benefit as well, what was a knob, what was a dial that I pressed that changed, that made it work? I've got no doubt that this will fly, and we will absolutely do amazing things. But at the minute, unfortunately, it isn't doing right now. So we need to change them dials. That's all. Right. Okay. Come on then. Get going. Yeah, 81% full. Average sales per week was £7.33. And by the way, I'm just thinking now, I want to get across that when I say I disagree with Gavin, do you know what flummoxed me so much this week was that somebody in the self-storage industry put a point across that I've never really thought of before. And I'm like, no sales process. Honestly, you ask the wife, I've been away, haven't I, this last week, over the weekend and stuff. And all I've been talking about is, what does he see that I don't? How is that possible? How does somebody who's an OG, who's an original gangster of self-storage, who is, for me, my money, pound for pound, one of the best operators in the UK, without a doubt, I would take Gavin's opinion and advice over most people's. And I don't say that lightly. And for somebody to disagree with me, I love it. I love it because I'm thinking, okay, how is that? What is he seeing that I'm not? How can that be? What I'm over here and he's over there. Why? How? And I've just been thinking about it so much, and so much. So I'm gonna have a call with Gavin later this week, or maybe next week now, because I'm so fascinated with how he's got to that. What criteria? What is the measurements he's been using from get to there to there? And so for me, it's just so brilliant. So I don't want to get across that. I've realized that I've been saying I disagree a lot, when fundamentally I do disagree, but ultimately I love Stora. I love the product. I love what it does. I think it's a no-brainer for so many people to use Stora. And it's some, not fundamentals, but it's some of how we measure and what we do and the results we get. How can we improve? And I think it's great. I think it's a great conversation to have. Right. So the amount of insurance sold this week was £6,000. Again, it's below that 5,000. So I know that Angela sent me a detailed explanation for this because she's listened to the podcast and realized that we're not selling insurance. And so there is reasons why. I think, I can't remember what the reasons were now, but I know that she's emailed me. Right. So the amount of move-ins due next week is this week, 1,125 square foot moved in, and that's for 12 move-ins, 13 move-outs due for 1,030. So I believe it's a no-brainer that we're going to be massively up this week. I think 400 or 500 square foot up this week, and I don't think it started like that, but we'll see. You ain't got long to wait to find out how we do. Okay, so Stormore weekly revenue £22,915.89. We've taken bounce direct debits. It is £202.32. And one thing I will say is that the way Gavin does it on Stora, having it through Stripe, I think that's brilliant. I do. I know you charge 1.5%, but a lot of the banks, if you're starting out in self-storage, a lot of the banks will not give you a direct debit because they're almost guaranteed. It's a direct debit guarantee. And so if they ask for their money back within 2 years or something, golden payments, they can take it off you. And so they need to know that you can pay 2 years worth of direct debits back. And so if you're taking, like me, 22 grand a week, 2 years, that's £2 million. So you've got to find a bank who will support you. And we was going to move across to Barclays, was going to move across to Lloyd's, and they wouldn't guarantee us direct debits. And so you get away from that guarantee of a direct debit, and you also get to be able to charge people more regular. So, for example, if you've got their card details, so you just put the card through again and again and again and again, and Stripe actually tell you what time for that behavior, for that person, they are likely to have money in their account, and you take it. I think on the podcast, Gavin said he's had 70 quid or something in 2 years of write-off debt. I mean, that is phenomenal. So yes, you are paying 1.5% or 1.4% or whatever it is, but there is an upside to that as well. And it saves manpower for chasing people. Oh my God, is it a nightmare? So if we can eliminate that for 1% of our money, I'm probably for it. Yeah. Right. Beverly took two. What? This is wrong. £227.96. I don't know. I don't know how that can be possibly correct. I'll have to chase that up. This is the first time I looked at it. As you can say, what? You had my organic reaction then. Like, what? Are you freaking joking me? I don't know what happened there. So the total revenue is £23,143.85. How does that compare for the month? Do you know what? I can't actually tell you because the email is a long time ago now. So I've lost it from Sunday to Thursday. I can't find it. I've got so many emails. But basically, Stormore is in front, and Willoughby and Beverly is behind. So, but we'll get all them details for you by the end of the month. All right, guys, girls. Sorry for chatting on so long. It has been a long ass podcast for what it was supposed to be. All right, love you, appreciate you. I've got a good episode for tomorrow. Make sure you tune in. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Again, this month, we're going to be over the 10,000 downloads mark. Way, absolutely incredible. 10,000 of you unique downloads are listening to moi. It's quite humbling, to be honest. I don't know what you're doing. You crazy people. There can't be any other storage podcasts out there in the UK. All right, guys. Love you. Appreciate you. See you soon. Bye.